The Long Island Technologists Meetup is a vibrant community where innovators, developers, engineers, and tech enthusiasts come together to spark new ideas and forge meaningful connections. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting your tech journey, our events provide a dynamic space for knowledge sharing, collaboration, and professional growth.
What time we started?
Yeah, that's like design.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. No one knows what that is. You just go down the street with turning.
I always say,
That's the little details that matter, you know? But that's the kind of thing you can tell they have. About turning is wrong, you make it this. They were different.
5 hours.
Someone's gotta know that. Tell you.
Yeah, you just
Well, that's tough. It's like it gives it detail. Right, because yeah, it's very cool. We broad strokes, and unless we know how to count the details, it's just like here's here's yeah, no, that's definitely something that like your class. I just got. I know. I don't remember who it is, but then like I was taking on Friday. I went on your class. This thing was on tape, and I was like, you get into design, you have and it just takes time like where your level of taste and your actual
But you get it too, because you actually do have a pretty good standard, but you don't know how to reach it. Yeah, no, I know that, but I mean, I know what looks good, I know what looks bad. I know what's bad.
you're like, I know what it is.
Just know it doesn't look straight.
Yeah, so it's that that goes for design, like engineering design and creative. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's similar, say similar things about technology. It works, design,
yeah.
But, you know, I'm a little more pessimistic about that. It's always been a project.
I don't know.
To layman, there's tons of different coding is well designed. Sometimes you get that, but with the design, usually it's gets weird.
But it also.
That's the biggest.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right.
I think the people are not really after I wasn't building this because I knew something to do. To the headset. It's
That's right. You want to get started? Wherever. I got a seat number here. Wherever anyone wants to use it. Yeah. All right. All right, gang. Well, happy holidays. Welcome to, I think this is the 15th Long Island Technologists Meetup. Thank you all for coming out on a Tuesday. We usually throw these on a Thursday. So this is a nice experiment to see if I could fill a room on event night of the week. So kudos to you all for coming on a cold night and joining us. My goal, as always, is to bring as much value to you as I can, both from networking, from an education perspective, and maybe increasing your surface area for luck. I'm Justin Abrams. This is Mike Rispoli. That there, Matthew Ramos. We make up the local Long Island Cause of a Kind team. What Cause of a Kind does is we build software and websites for you. So if you know anybody or you yourself want to build something cool, now you know somebody that. We started our business in this coffee shop at that table 9 years ago. So we bring everybody back every 45 days to retell our story, to bring in amazing people that have something to contribute from what they do, specialize in their career path. And so tonight, no different from that. Tonight we have a presenter came all the way from Israel, somebody that me and Mike have known for quite some time now, has both been a customer, has been a friend, has been a mentor. And so we're going to learn incredibly from Nir Zavaro tonight. To tell you a little bit about Nir before we kind of jump into the presentation, I think you can tell Nir's an author. He's a multi-time author, but the only book I have to offer you for tonight is Thoughtful Slides. We can talk a little bit about what that actually means. But the goal for tonight is to kind of elevate our awareness of how we present ourselves to the world. If you run a business, this will be certainly applicable to you. If you're trying to figure out your next path lane in life, this will be applicable to you. So tonight we're going to have a really nice host presentation. We'll make it discussionary. So if anybody has anything that they want to contribute or you will call on people randomly. But Nir Zavaro is a multi-time entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur at this point. I think your first job was selling snowboards in the desert of Israel. So that's kind of a cheapy way to begin your life. He's owned everything from bars. He's been in hospitality. He's been a startup founder. He's owned a marketing and advertising agency. So there's a lot of stones that we can turn over for tonight's discussion. If anybody would like a book, you're willing to sign those and write you a special note. That's always quite fun. To give everybody a heads up about how this is going to go, we're going to go for about maybe 30 to 45 minutes here. We'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. We'll leave some time at the end for some continuation of the networking. And if anybody would like to come out with us afterwards for a drink or some food or whatever, we go across the street and see. All right. Maybe we have the spot until about 9 o'clock. And with that, you're the market.
Your sponsor?
You know what? You're right, man.
I'm trying to get away with that. I'm trying to get away with it.
I was.
One of our sponsors for tonight is Frank Luna. He's the CEO and founder of Big Ode. Right?
Yeah.
Big Ode, that's how we say it. Big Ode Productions. He's a longtime member of Long Island Technologists. He's donating our services for today to make sure we get a really clean recording. But Frank, you want to take a minute to tell everybody what you do?
Sure. I'm Francisco Cunha. My company is called Bagode. We are a video production company. Basically, we help businesses and companies post less by giving them more purpose-driven content. So we do everything from helping you bring awareness, attendance, and return on your investment with our videos. Yeah, pretty much it. Yep.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
The other sponsor is a normal regular here. Didn't have the grace to show up on a Tuesday. So that's our buddy Chuck. Chuck is a longtime member and dear friend of Mike's. And Chuck is the, what do you think he is?
DevRel for
DevRel for Vonage. So big plug for Vonage. Yes, it's that original phone company, but they've definitely survived their evolution. And so if you're thinking about communications for your business, from email, text message, phone, VoIP, anything like that,
and this SMS.
think about Vonage.
He runs the Node SDK. So, you know, Node plan. Yeah.
So with that, welcome.
It's my
document.
Thank for a small group, we'll cut around with some stuff, and we're gonna do some things that are different than I originally planned, if that's okay with you. Please, why don't we just go a second, stand up. You stand up to someone you know, move. We'll take the time, we get 1 minute for each person to introduce yourself.
At 31.
Donnie who?
And know the person next to you, move somewhere else. Excuse me? Guys, 1 minute. First person, 1 minute, please introduce yourself. Why 1 minute? Thank you, please switch. How many is the other person introducing themselves? Please switch. 1 minute, please. Wait, Thank you. Please feel free to sit down. You'll never forget that.
Thank you, Captain.
I'm going to tell you a short story. Full. I don't know if you've noticed that. Most probably the person you spend the most amount of time in your life is yourself. Yet when I ask people to introduce themselves, they can speak. Not everybody knows exactly what to say or how to pitch. I want to connect that to how we do brands. I want to talk to you about a little bit about why I believe we're building brands the wrong way. How's that connected to emotions, a bit to religion, and what can you guys do if you want to change everything you told? Because brand, sales, marketing, and try and think for a second how you introduced yourself. I assume most of you start with the checklist, right? Father, mother, the business, what you do in your position, right? We discussed earlier, the first thing we ask people is, what do you do? How many of you started with something that is emotional? How many people usually start with something that's emotional? You see, I wrote the book, Fuck the Slides, simply because I couldn't see any more bad presentations. In 2017, I won the marketing startup companies pitch. But more than that, it was about how they can go to market there. Problem was I couldn't understand a single word. There were all the buzzwords, all the information, all the data, nothing made sense. The ideas could be fixed now. But single I came to marketing, I didn't know where to start. He said, "Can you please explain to me in English what do you actually do?" In 1 sentence. And guess what? Most of them couldn't. So, okay, I think we have a problem. And I think we can fix it. And it took me about 2 or 3 years to perfect the concept of how can you tell a short, compelling story in about 3 minutes without using your slides. But all we need to understand is how the human mind works. And why I think most of us are telling stories at work the wrong way. When we introduce ourselves, most of us start with the data. But in fact, most people do not. It's not how we communicate. How do you feel at the moment?
Good.
Good. How was your day today? It was all right. All right. Yours? All right. All right. I smile. He's smiling. It's amazing. Huh? By the way, this is a universal thing all over the world. When a baby is born, they have the same 6 facial recognition expressions. They believe there are a bit more now. When I travel the world, and I've done these workshops in about 40 countries, no matter where I go, say, I smile. At a certain point, he has to smile. What is interesting, though, the cultural differences that can be taught every place I go. I was in the Philippines last year. They will explain. So I want to share with you the 4 different ways that you can control story. If the first thing, and actually the currency we trade is not the data we tell, it is the emotion we want to see. So if the first thing is an emotion, I can tell you a short story, and I can tell you, you won't believe what happened last night. Or I can tell you, you won't believe what happened. Right. It's not the same story. Same words, not the same. When we talk, only 7% is what I'm actually saying right now. I can actually probably bullshit you for the next 5 minutes, but if I sound really excited about what I'm going to say, you'll listen. Even though I don't really need to say it. So 7% is what we actually said. 93 is what we call the nonverbal communication. The problem is when we go pitching the startups, as an example, one of the problems we have is they improvise. What this slide started when I met companies and I told them, I saw the slides, I understand the information, I just don't get what you do. If we take out the presentation, what are you left with? And most of them just improvise. So they get 3 minutes to pitch, but they improvise. And the idea is what happens if we don't. What happens if you can control every single word you say, thus controlling the emotional aspect. So I don't need to sell everything. I only need to be able to control which emotion every paragraph of that story has. And the second thing, which is interesting, is most of us, we were talking about the cold. And when you said Jamaica, I can probably understand or imagine Jamaica. I've never been. If I tell you how a beach would feel like right now, it's a beautiful day outside, sand, you're having a margarita, everyone's chilling, you can imagine. So the second thing is I don't need to tell you everything, I just need to tell you enough for you to be able to complete the way you think. The third thing, I want to tell you a short story. I'll ask you a lot of questions. There are a lot of details. Please listen carefully. Are you guys ready? They're always so violent. A man walks into a bar. I'll repeat the story. A man walks into a bar. What type of a bar? Don't know. Okay. What type of a bar do you think it is?
Could be a metal bar.
A metal bar. Thank you. That was easy. What is he wearing? A t-shirt and jeans. T-shirt and jeans. So it's barefoot in a metal bar. Who's he meeting?
His friend.
His friend. What are they going to talk about?
Politics.
Politics. What are they drinking? Alcohol. Here. It's going to be a long night. Beer. Note, I said a man walks into a bar, everybody can fill in the gaps with different reasons. We once worked with a startup company that saves or helps airlines use less luggage. I don't know about you, I don't own an airline, I don't care. But when we went into the room to introduce 60 investors are sitting in the same room, what we can all imagine is how it feels standing in front of that belt, hoping that they didn't lose my luggage. So I can put you in a specific place, Jamaica, in front of the bed. I can make you realize or think different things. And if I can take you to that place, and right now I can probably assume that you all know how that bed feels, right? I'm standing there and I'm waiting. My luggage, my vacation to Jamaica is ruined. My luggage. That means that we can control not just the emotion, but where we place people. So people will have experience. You can fill in the gaps. And only lastly, we're using the data, which is interesting because data is basically, right? Data is kind of like the season. If I want to sell you something, I don't need to tell you everything. All I need to do is give you enough. You can fill in the gaps, say you want to know, and the data needs to convince me that we're the right. Yes.
So in this example with the luggage and the pitch, it would be something like imagining you've lost your luggage and then sprinkling in a statistic saying passengers that lose their luggage are 60% less likely to use this airline.
And basically,
Within the story.
true. And
Yeah.
basically, how we knew the mark was 60 investors are smiling and nodding because they all know how it feels because we know they travel a lot. So sometimes the story isn't just about what I'm doing, but I want them to feel in that space, at that moment. That allows us to control the story. Oftentimes when we meet a company or we meet someone, we say, how long do you need? to explain, they will say we need at least 15 or 20 minutes, and we say, great, you get 3 minutes. The reason is because 3 minutes is a lot. When we tell a startup you get 3 minutes, oftentimes they will say it's not enough. And I say, that's great. I just got you a newspaper to write an article about this. Okay, full page. It's about 500-page article. They say, that's amazing. In English, 400 to 500 words is about it. The problem is we don't know what we want to say, thus we think it's not enough. As you know this from sales, the longer the sales go, the longer the sales meeting goes, the lower the chances of you closing the deal. But the problem is we also need to identify when we go to pitch that most of the time we don't need to sell him. I don't know about you, I love going to the movies. I still, to this day, my dad's 81, whenever we have a new Bond, we go to see James Bond. I love it. And we sit there, popcorn and soda drink, and we're watching before that, the trailers come. No matter what trailer it is, I'm in. When that movie comes out, I have to go and see it. You see what's interesting? I did not commit, I did not give them money, I did not promise them a single thing. All I said is, this is interesting. But by the way, they didn't show me the whole movie, they showed me the trailer is roughly 3 minutes. An art form in itself. And the idea is I do not need to sell you anything. All I need is to open the door. You to say, I'm interested. I want to know more. And the same goes when you look at our businesses. Same goes when we look at how you want to pitch the stuff from you guys. For example, by the way, we use the blurb, right? We've heard the phrase. People say, can you send me a blurb oftentimes in tech? It's interesting, most people do not know what to do with it. They send a one pager, they send slides, no one knows what to do with it. It is a short description connected to a creative work. The phrase was coined in just a moment before the beginning of the 20th century. And it's short. And we teach people how to do it in 70 words or less. And the next time you meet someone, what if you have 70 words blurb about who you are and what you do? So luckily, I know we don't have pen and paper. I have a feeling all of you have a phone. Open your notes. We'll do 2 minutes. Try and write 2 or 3 sentences on how you introduce yourself. And my ask is try and be a bit interesting. Not a lot, just a bit. Okay? Have fun with it. That's the most important. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Next time.
Is it bonus points or like deducting points if I can say that?
Oh, let's talk about buzzwords for a second. Let's do time. I hope this exercise will help you start. But the next time you go to an event, the next time you go to a conference, next time you guys are here, hello, my name is 70 words is about 30 seconds. Okay, so it's enough for a short intro, interesting enough. And the last exercise you can do at home is if you write these on a pen and paper, please look, underline everything that is data and circle everything that is emotion. And then you can start building some sort of a balance. So you're not just giving me dry data. Because if not, people are, I wanted to, yes.
What do you mean by emotional? Exactly. Example of that. How would you have it?
Yeah, so if you look at let's say, you love your work, okay, or what you do, another thing.
Mhm.
If you talk about being proud about something, there's something that's fun. So, for example, I often do it in very serious events when I share with people that I'm the number one falsely commentator in Israeli Olympics. See the reaction? By the way, it's important to know I'm also not just the best, I'm also the only one. Fun fact. So again, you want to make people either interested, happy about something, make them smile. Exactly. The moment you guys become a bit more intentional by writing, you can start actually to measure what happens. And most of us keep doing the same. We open PowerPoint presentation, we do this, we pitch the same way, we sell the same way. 1860, British Parliament, one of the biggest arguments that day, screaming and yelling on both sides. The discussion was very interesting. All they want to do is vote if they are or not going to approve the first underground train in London, the first to the station. The problem was that some people wanted technology and progress, and the other side said, listen, you guys are crazy. If we dig 6 feet under, it's going to come out. In 1866, they opened the first 2 stations, the train goes, guess what didn't happen? What if everything we thought was a certain way was okay until we agreed to try it? What if every assumption we had when it came to storytelling, to marketing, could change? And a big part was that my agency for 14 years had 2 problems. We either had to do a rebrand for a company, or we had to take the rebrand that someone else did for a company, mostly bigger companies. The problem was we were doing mainly marketing. That meant that when we picked up that megaphone and wanted to scream to the world what that company does, yeah, we don't know what they want to say. All they have is a very nice logo, some colors, maybe a few designs or something. The brand book, most of the time, didn't really have all the information. I couldn't wear that suit. I couldn't act as that brand. That's where we started to get stuck. My next book is called Business Catcher. I'm working on why we're building brands the wrong way. And I believe that we are not building brands like characters, like a movie. Now, almost all of you have a favorite book, a show, or a movie you like. But if those characters, the main characters, were erratic and would change the opinion every 2 or 5 pages, you would opt out. Yet we do that today with our brands, whether you are the brand or your company. And the question was, why are we not consistent? So a logo or any graphic is great, but that's like you and I dressing differently, but behaving the same way. Nothing really changed. So in the course of the last 2.5 years, I've been working with companies and brands on how to implement storytelling techniques to create better stories by using better character attributes. A quick example would be that we just doubled the company's revenue just by changing what they said on the customer journey. They do designs for marketeers, get better ads, more converting ads. And they're doing good. The interesting thing is everything they did was not connected. And we said, let's create an whole customer journey. What do we say, which stage, but more than that, how do we create consistency in the way we speak? If you work somewhere, by the way, go and ask for the brand book. If there are explanations about how you should behave, how the brand behaves, what are the words you like, the words you don't like, please do me a favor, call me, maybe they'll be in the next book. If you have a company, please make sure you start thinking like a character in the book. In 2012, I was about to finish, I had 50 pages left probably in my first novel. You see, I love drinking, so I always say that it's cheaper to own the bar. And I own the bar, and I've known everyone for years, and I was writing a novel about the nightlife. And someone said, are you writing? Are you finishing? I said, I can, I'm stuck. And so, what do you mean I'm stuck? Writer's block? I said, no, there's no such thing as writer's block. The main character and I were in an argument. I want to do something, but the character wants to do something completely different. And that's why I suggest that people start looking at the brands. If you and I start a company together tomorrow, right, and let's say I want to do it in a warm country, but we have some issues, and you and I agree on things. And one time I'll go along with you because you're from this area and the brand is here and I don't know enough. And the second time you will allow me to do what I believe is the right thing and do the marketing certain way. That means we did not argue. We are in agreement. The only one that we didn't ask is the brand. So sometimes even when we think we're in agreement, we are creating inconsistency. But if we write and measure, it becomes easier. Are we doing the right thing for the brand? And then we do, does it coincide with what we did before? Will it do it the next time? If not, we are creating gaps in the story. Over 50% of the Fortune 500 over the last 60 years are gone. At some point, they did something wrong. When shit hit the fan, there's a crisis or whatever, they disappear. In some cases, they did it to themselves. Another example, I've been asked to consult the company I used to work with. They have an events company. The most expensive location in Israel. They sell a small wedding for about $250,000 US. Small wedding. They're the number one leaders in the market. As you know, the situation hasn't been very easy. Things happen. Now you need to rebuild the business. They call me and say, hey, can you help us work on the brand that we started 5 years ago? We need to deliver revamp, small changes. They wanted to do more winter weddings. So what do you usually do? Offer a discount. I said, no, we can't. It's not who we are. We actually have to explain why winter weddings are the best. And in Israel, getting married in August, which is the most expensive week, trust me, is the worst. Man, it's 90% humidity. No one is having fun outside. And we rebranded the concept. We are now breaking a record for 2025 as a new record for us. It's almost better than the years before. You can change the same thing if you decide how you're going to flip the same story. You and I were talking a little bit about what is your app?
Silver and 40.
Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, we offer custom tailored experiences for sobriety and the comfort of people's homes at a fraction of the price.
Okay, why does it at a fraction of the price important?
Because most people feel like they can't afford to get help.
Why they can't afford to get help?
Because everyone's one paycheck away from being broke in America.
I'm noticing that. Question. How much would you pay for happiness?
Everything.
Everything. So why do you explain to me the cost? I have a problem, I want a solution. What if we don't talk about the cost? What if we only talk about what might happen on the other side?
I'll take that out of my little three-liner.
Love it. See, it was worth it. If we had one person who needs that this evening, we've done it. But more than that, by the way, is if you decide what you want to add or not. One thing is how much people pay for happiness, but another thing is we often ask the wrong question. If you give me $100, I'm going to give you 1,000. Is that a good deal?
Mm-hmm. Sounds like 10 extra.
Sounds great. People go to pitch to VCs. If you guys know the numbers or the math, 10 startups get an investment, 5 of them will disappear, 3 of them might break even, Two of them might do an exit, one of them might be a unicorn that doubles 100. So for the chance, they're looking for the chance, you're the right bet, that if they'll give you $100, you give them 1,000. If people go in and explain all the other things, so the reason why they can trust you, they give you that money. That consistency happens throughout the process. So if you guys look at a brand, for example, every time you do something, I'm inviting you to look and say, is this aligning with what we had yesterday? Which words are we using? So if I like cursing, I've done that. I used to get kicked out in high school because I would curse in class. That made me fun. I like, that's the way I behave. That's why I'm a fan. So today in my workshops, I also curse. So in the Philippines and Singapore, they had a lot of problems with that. We agreed before. But again, cultural difference. But I have to take the option of writing the words I like, the words I don't like. How I want to sound, how I want to behave, how I want to be perceived, and how do I create that consistency. If you choose the words, for example, if you do not talk about price, you're only changing everything? You're only changing
Oh, it's not really.
If we look for a second, we decided we don't want to talk about price because what we're selling is so much bigger. By the way, $40 a month. It's not even relevant to mention. It's not. It's actually. But what if we do is what's the message? What are the words that are connected? So these need to talk. I invite you to take a minute, please. Write down in your notes 2 words you love using and 2 words you can't stand. In relation to the business? Any word? No, if there's anything you like or don't like. General. So some people don't have a business, so make it. Yeah, they don't do this. If you wrote it, raise your hand. So it should be easy, no? You guys talk all day. What words you keep using? No, just that. Try to make your life easy. Wait when you start working on your company, you say these are the 10 words we love, these are the 10 words we don't love. Please never use these words. By the way, be aggressive, be negative, be positive. 15 years ago, I said we do not do negative marketing at all. So if a client comes in and they show us what they did before, we say this is not we are. It's not consistent with my brand, we cannot work on great positivity marketing. Okay? The reason why I'm asking you to do this small exercise because it's funny. If I ask you to talk about your life, your business, whatever, you can do it for a long time. There's the saying that no matter what happens, there are 2 things we know for certain about people. People love talking and they love to be listened to. It needs to be the right. Right? Some people cannot talk in front of 100 people very comfortably, but some people in a small group wouldn't shut up. So the question is, as a brand, you want to sell more? That means that you do not want to shut up. You should be promoting all day long, everywhere you can, for any budget you might have. And instead of doing 1 video, you might do 100 videos. But people say, I don't know, say. The question is, why are we missing this? Yes.
Can I just tell you about
Yeah.
a good morning? Their strategy, Red Bull. Everyone knows it gives you wings. Everyone knows the commercials around what you can do because you're drinking Red Bull. It's just they just have such a great way to articulate their vision and the story within the brand.
Last what they did is they associated themselves with all the winners. They went to all the extreme sports when nobody was investing. So I was the Burton brand manager. When no one was willing to invest in those extreme sport industries, and people said, what do you mean people ride on a bicycle very fast down a hill? Or people jump off a cliff? Or people, they said, oh, we like. And they went from being a complete outsider to becoming the mainstream. And to look at what happened to Red Bull in Formula One and other sports. But by the way, that's a great thing. But to take from there is your marketing. So if I know who I am and I know what I need to say, I want to say it all day to as many people as I can. By the way, some of you might have heard the concept of an ICP or ideal client persona or customer persona. In the next book, I also explain about the IMP, the ideal marketing persona. I want every person on the planet to know who I am and what I want some people that might be relevant to know who I am and recommend. And I want the people who need me today to know who I am and call. So we'll have like three circles. What we often do, we have that with an asset management company now based in Chicago, where nobody knows who they are. So we presume we need to talk to the people who have millions that might want to give us the money. But we decided to go with a different tactic and tell everyone in that area who we are. More than that, we just want to tell you who we are. If you think you're relevant, you can apply here. Everybody says, please come to us. The reason is they need very few clients. 1.25 is enough. I don't need everyone, I need the right people. So if your marketing works well, and again, every time we do content, we also make sure it's aligned. That makes life easy. And you and I were talking earlier. If I have a good product and you think you have a good product market fit, I need to tell everyone what I do, and every time do the iteration of fix it. This is the language we use. This is what we want to present to the world. This is what they should buy and how they should buy it, and going down to marketing. Keep going, keep. You probably know this, but as marketing is changing and the algorithms are changing, and we are now doing a lot more content with our clients, hoping to hit once. That's enough. Especially in the US, you can do a lot of very local ads and stuff. So that's even easier if you have that. When they come, I want to make sure I sound like the brand. I give them the feeling of the brand. By the way, Red Bull does that amazingly well, especially when you go to an event, when you go to parties. The sales starts for us when we check if the client is the right fit. Again, going back to the trailer pitch. I'll give you a short example. We're working in some complex AI solution for military grade. They work with governors here and stuff like that. One of the things we wanted is to show certainty. If you want to check an amazing book, I really love it. I always recommend it by Morgan Housel. It's called Same as Ever. Every person on the planet wants this one thing. Every person on the planet cannot get it. Certainty. So with that company, we decided that everything we do, because they have this critical decision makers, make decisions for your utility companies that will have an impact in 5 years. But I need to decide on that. So what we've done is, when they create the agenda, everything is about certainty. I don't know when was the last time you had a meeting, an online meeting especially, and you get the agenda beforehand. You guys do that here? We do. Great. So we start the agenda with a 5-minute small talk. It's in the agenda. We then explain what's going to happen, some clarifying question, and then we will need 4 minutes to explain what we do. Mind you, most people think it's a bit of a strange thing to say, we're going to pitch you our company in 4 minutes. When that happens, people are shocked. You know, it's the thing that people love the most. They go on the call and say, I love the fact that you added small talk for 5 minutes. That's what they remember. But when we pitch for 4 minutes and when we wrap up the call exactly at the 25-minute mark and say what's going to happen next, people feel subconsciously very comfortable. Was like, they said something, they meant it, they start doing it, it's relevant, it's interesting. We already start creating here the whole process of how the city is going to look like if they are the right fit. Again, I'm talking about a very specific company, we'll talk about it in a second. And the last thing would be, and please, if you have a company and you do not do this, and I told you this today, if you guys do not have an amazing customer journey, you are losing money today. If you can only fix one thing, is your customer journey. Creating an outline of when they came, what happens, what's next, what happens if they sign or they don't sign. By the way, we have a client that said we're getting great leads. Some of them, they're not the right fit. Sometimes they're not the right fit today. We created a separate customer journey for clients who said no. And we get them back within 7 months. Usually, when you get a no, that's a no. What if it's just a different path in the customer journey? But then, how do you talk to them without being aggressive, without being over salesy? That goes back to how we usually talk. What do you usually offer? We're now doing this with companies that have 500 million, with companies who just raised billions, with small companies, and all of them will become some chapter in the book.
Can you repeat the name of the book?
Yeah.
Or the book that you started saying of the other book?
The Morgan Housel is the book I recommended.
Okay.
This method will become, hopefully by the end of next year, will be the business. I'll give you some information if you want to follow. I'm talking a lot about this one. The reason why I'm showing you all of this, because most people will start with what we always believe to be right. We go to a brand new company, we design, we do a lot of things, and we start. Now I'm saying, what if we started with the smallest thing and ask you 2 words about this, 2 words about that, 30 seconds. What if we go back to the customer journey and say, let's pick one small thing and fix that? What is the smallest thing in your business, in your line of work, or whatever that you might want to fix? So here's my ask. 1 minute, talk to the person next to you. Tell them one thing you want to improve or you want to fix in your business or in your line of work. What we do. Okay? One thing you would like to improve. Good?
I'll do it on account.
Go.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Great. So you're putting back down.
I'll read
Oh, no.
Okay. I'd like to find out such random discussions. How did it feel?
Yeah.
Or even fit? My system really works well. So if you need anything, don't pay. By the way, if I fix it, what do I get? If I improve it by 5%, what do I get? 5%. All the 5%? No, I'm staying. Nothing you can improve. I'll leave it to you.
That's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I'm definitely very much a big picture person. I recently launched a nonprofit. And I have all these other ideas in my head too, and I have to also look at the details. I'm very much more the big picture person, so that's what I'm trying to focus on to make sure that I'm not missing the little pieces of things and articulating and leading my board of women. And this is all resonating with me because I'm saying these things to my board. Listen, we have a new woman come on and donate. Like that customer experience needs to be perfect. So yeah.
Used to work with a company sold very high-end luxury apartments. Stuff around 3, 4, 5 million and above. You sell the apartment now, it'll be ready in 5 years. When people bought, signed everything, we would send them a big bottle of wine. We put it on the name and see you in 2020. And people loved it. What they did, they put it in the back, so they would go on Zoom. They love this wine. They have this bottle, and that did great with them.
Love that.
Very simple.
Yes.
Now, when someone signs, what is the gift? What do we give them? What can be offered? What's a small reminder? In 2019, end of 19, I really wanted to scale our business, the agency. So what we did is I created small boxes and I sent about 20 before COVID started, took us about 2 months. We sent about, you would open it, it was branded with my agency. You open it, there's a nice letter, says coffee question mark, you flip it. Hello, my name is Nir Zavaro. So what you guys are doing, I would love to meet for coffee. Of course, coffee's on me. Inside, there's 2 espresso coffee cups. With an espresso, because it's very common that the office will have an espresso cup machine. And the first 2 out of 3 we signed $100,000. It cost me less than $20. So yeah, because you know what expects. So no, it's not like why we making so much money on other stuff. Before the Jewish New Year, a year earlier, we decided to send all our clients. I don't know if you guys know the bamboo tree. They have this lucky bamboo. This weird superstition that someone told me that you can make sure it doesn't die. That's bad luck. So I sent it to every client we have with a big branding of my company, so you don't grow. And 2 years later, we would still come to our clients and see it there. And usually it becomes a bit bigger and bigger, so it's next to the door, and everybody sees our brand. It costs money. Okay. So simple things that we are able to do how to make that experience, but not spend a lot of money. So, what do you do? Great. So what was your thing that you wanted to change?
Wanted to get better at storytelling.
Okay. What would you specifically like to come to that?
To present more organically. And
More organically? Can you explain the
I think I tend to improv a lot, and I need to get better at like, similar to like what is that pitch? What am I trying to say versus just riffing off an idea?
so you present in your line of work as students to clients?
Sometimes.
And you write a lot?
No.
So writing is the most important. This see, we say storytelling as if it's a buzzword, it's a nice buzzword. And it is the thing we do the most in practice the least. And the way to get better at it is writing. And we now work with big companies and make all those salespeople write the pitch. They do not submit the presentation. They submit the written pitch, what they're going to say, and they practice. The more they practice. By the way, comedians, stand-up comedians, will write the same joke, test it again and again, pass it. If you have also any reason you need to send something written for any reason, we suggest to do it in 3 layers. The first one is your quick draft. The second one is your editing. The third one is your tweak. And most probably it's 95%. You won't get it a lot if you keep going. And when you write a book, at a certain point, you don't know how to keep going. Every day I wake up and I work on the same thing and then keep editing and editing. And after 8 months, my editor says, enough, I'm done. Okay. What about you?
Mechanical engineering.
Yeah. Well, what's one thing for you?
It was to shorten meetings because sometimes the meetings go on for a long time, and people aren't really like understanding. People just want to go drink coffee what after like an hour meeting, hour 20-minute meeting.
Yeah.
People
So
aren't even.
no matter the size of the business, we cut into 25 minutes. And if you want, I can show you the structure. But one of them is that the person that presents needs to be ready before and present for 3 minutes the whole thing. There's a discussion, there's a decision. And if not, it's just too long, there's no point. And shorten everything, and if they need work, also only the people that must be in the room can be in the room. So either they contribute or the decision makers. If you want to show you, and we're doing this with major. And we're cutting a lot of time. That. At the end, if you decide or you take one thing is small, start very, very small, and always improve something. The way we improve it is we write what we want to do, how we can achieve it, and then where do we implement. When I started this idea from the slide, it was like a big thing. It is now a part of what I teach within SAFE. We do it on a full day or 2-day workshop, so it's very, very different. If you can change one thing, what it would be, by when, what do you need, who can help you start doing? We're seeing businesses double in 2 to 4, 5 months just because they're putting the structure and it's the language, it is not the process. It's the language we use that helps us scale. If it's okay with you, because we're a small group, I want to try something. I'm a member of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization. When we finish every event, we do 2 things. One thing you're taking away that you can try and implement, and one word about how you feel this small. Okay? So if it's okay with you, quickly 1 sentence, what are you taking away today? And how do you feel in 1 word?
I'm taking away optimism just because of the tips that you've given in terms of the items you can give, that sort of deal, whatnot. That's done.
Great, thank you. Please.
I'm taking it could be more emotional and regular basis work. Say, and what was the other question?
1 word, how do you feel?
I feel great.
Thank you very much.
Put the investor and the client in a more emotional spot as well.
1 word, how do you feel?
Clarity.
Glad. Thank you very much.
I think taking away, tell a little better story about what you do so that people know who you are. 1 word. I'm like,
Okay, thank you.
I thought it was very interesting to talk about bringing that full part into your introduction to the all the data. I think that we start off with, so that was nice. Curious.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I like the exercise about the words, thinking about which words I like and don't. I think I have a lot of work to do on all this, and that's something that feels approachable.
Thank you.
did you say customer experience having people emotionally invested in you? And, I'm interested.
Thank you.
taking away from this the fact that quick, like saying something quick and not dragging on like 3 minutes. It is important, especially since today our attention spans are so short. Social media and stuff, I think that you could take advantage of that into your personal stuff.
I can show you, by the way, a good friend of mine has an app to train employees, remote and business employees, like a TikTok style education that's doing it very, very well. They work with PepsiCo, Amazon, Unilever, the US, and a lot of stuff. On the other hand, remember, if you're very interesting, people will binge a whole season on that. Sure. So if you can't sit in the meeting, that means they're bored.
Taking away that I need to shorten my pitch when I'm explaining my company and make it more emotional and feel inspired.
Yeah, I should say the ability to communicate value by focusing more on things other than just data.
I'll leave you one more.
Excited.
I know I said how to be something, but answer your question more about what I sell a very unemotional product. It's credit card processing. Not very exciting, but to figure out a way to make it more emotional.
So, and if you are selling something, there is an emotion on the other side. You sure need to figure it out. By the way, I'm sometimes very, very boring. Very boring.
I'm feeling very with respect. Trying to tackle my takeaways notice is I'm trying to tackle what is valuable thing to change. Or rather, should I just take something to change? But I don't want to change for the sake of change.
So find small, really small. If you know that isn't fixed, you don't really like, change something. By the way, I'll give you the QR code. I have a weekly newsletter that I tell every week. I do one thing that you can improve in your business about storytelling, your marketing, sales, and so on. And I noticed that I keep writing it for a few hundred people. I love it. It's fun. And I said, wait, there's 52 learnings about it. And I'm now putting everything into a small book. And I'm saying, if you change one thing every week, next year your business is going to be good. So think something. Thank you.
I'm thinking that we need to work a lot more on the personal brand and being able to articulate that clearly. And my feeling at the moment is happy.
Thank you. You should.
I'm gonna go with my word first, energized. I had no coffee, however, I could probably run around the block more times right now. I am gonna work on articulating these points with my board. I think I do it. I think I need to do it more. And kind of role play with them and have them articulate what is this business, because we need to be on the ground telling everyone at the meet about it. So their pitch to Long Island needs to be as buttoned up as mine. So that's what I'm gonna take away.
Hello, everyone. In my line of work, it's important for me to understand a client's needs in 30 minutes or less. So I think what I took away from your presentation today is that if I can provide the client with, let the client know everything that I offer within 4 minutes, I can take remaining time to truly understand their needs and provide a solution for them. The word, I would say, is positive. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think my biggest takeaway here is pretty much when you talked about the whole aspect about consistency, and then the kind of parlaying that to not having necessarily needing all the clients. You're not really looking to necessarily like boil the ocean. You're looking for that one that resonates with you. I think that is my key takeaway that I think I really want to focus as far as like customer perspective. Don't need to go out everywhere and do everything. It's just focus on the things that really resonate, that's most consistent with you, and those people that resonate with you will then follow, much like how you kind of gave that example with Red Bull. So, I feel like, with all of that, my key takeaway, the way that makes me feel right now is more invigorated, I guess, is the best way to kind of think about it.
Thank you.
So I think my key takeaway is because I'm in the business with business partner, I like when you spoke about the idea that the business needs to have a personality that is not just the sum of our opinions, which is kind of how we've operated up until this point. And the struggle I think I have is, and we've always had, is how do I export what I do in such a way that the company can actually repeat it without me? And I think that is a rooted still. And so I think that I'm pensive. Have to figure that out.
You know, yeah, I think like my word is my key phrase. If anybody knows me quite well, it's forward to extraordinary. I'm in the position of optimizing and tweaking. Mine similarly with math. Like, what are the little things that I do on a daily basis to improve me, to improve my personal brand, to improve my brand, my partnership? I think all of those things kind of culminate to my battle cry, which is forward to extraordinary. You know, my key takeaway like this, and it's funny that Mike says that, and very much aligned with Mike that I'm talking to him. We have a third party in the room at all times, which is that brand. If I treat that as a living, breathing persona, and I think about using the business to make decisions for me and Mike rather than me and Mike making decisions for our business, what's the next thing that we can do that's beneficial to the business that maybe isn't beneficial for the two of us, or maybe that that puts my ego in check. So a lot of times we do things that just are selfish.
Yeah, in a lot of workshops, I explained that a good brand is probably the best CEO ego killer. That's how we look at it. I want to say thank you for having me hosting the big session. So it's something that's much nicer than two. So I'm leaving these. If you wanna sign up for the newsletter, by the way, you can unsubscribe if you want. It's every week something I teach about storytelling. And I feel everybody is a liar on LinkedIn. So I share my real journey, and things are shit and shit. Because I'm traveling the world and stuff happened. So feel free if you want to join. And we're sticking around. If anyone wants to talk about anything, feel free. And I'm doing a cards and there's stickers. And if you want to go now, feel free. Thank you.
Yeah. Before I wrap up, so I have a couple questions. Is anybody brave enough to give me your 30-second pitch that you're happy about? Anybody want to volunteer? I will go first.
Spoken to you. All right.
Go. I'll give you mine too again, but
Okay. I'm a tenacious, passionate professional who's starting a new nonprofit business endeavor that helps women and the Long Island community. I'm innately curious about a lot of things. I enjoy reading about startup, learning Italian, travel, and creating artwork. Should I go into my words too?
sure.
Okay.
Make that
I can might as well, it's all written
yeah,
down.
might as well.
Word that I like, hustle and resilience. Words that I don't like, laziness and unattainable.
What do we think? Does that tell us a little bit about who Megan is? You never met her in your life, you know a few things about her. Who wants to go next? What's not doing? Awesome.
My name is Patrick Langton. I'm a mechanical engineer in the aerospace composites industry. I'm based on Long Island and I play golf in my free time. I work well building physical structures and 3D model. I like to meet new people and practice my spec.
You started making stuff when you were a kid. That's how you became this. So you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Okay, you see the difference? That's what you do. I'm one of the lucky ones who built stuff as a kid. Now I work as a space engineer, getting to do what I love.
Thank you. Good addition.
Well, what he's trying to tell you is like, how do you stand out in the crowd? So that you can kind of like peer, but also be like, when I was a kid, I just had this sensational appetite.
It makes people say, I think everybody wanted to be a firefighter. Okay.
I think I had a lot of data.
No, but that's exactly the point. You took the chance of writing. You took another chance when you read it, and you're open to keep iterating. Every time. So you fix one word, you fix one. You don't need to do everything. Today you took such a huge step. I'm like, I think there's too much data. So basically, people like it, find your voice. Thank you.
We should get before I let Spencer go. You did a very good job of pitching your application because when you pitched it to me, the pitch was what you think you could do for us. What do you think you could accomplish if you're sober? And I should have sober since that conversation. Had nothing to do with the price, and nothing to do with accessibility, it had nothing to do with.
How much would you pay for it?
It was
I was
how much
at
would
that
you pay for it?
conversation.
You were there.
I said the pitch was better than to be sober.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Your pitch was, well, you weren't pitching me, you were
No,
just, we were just having a conversation. Isn't that the point? You have nothing to sell. It's the best pitch, you have nothing to sell. So it's like, well, would you?
I'm not selling.
What would you pay for
It's a
half of
trailer.
this? Yeah.
I don't need to sell. I just need to explain what it is. If it's the right fit, we can talk. You pitch them. What would you do? How much is happiness worth? You don't care if it's $40 or 100. People are agnostic for a price. Okay. By the way, I used to sell smokers in the desert. In Israel, just so you understand, it's an apartment, a car, and the next dumb purchase you can do is a $1,000 smoker that you're going to use at the best 6 days a year for 3 years. And then you say, I've had it for 3 years, it's old. Okay? People would come and we had to hide their snowball because of the white learned about it. Okay? Just so you understand. All we sold them is the feeling on a mountain in France. You're standing next to each other and such a doesn't have nothing to do with anything. It's an emotional aspect of. And by the way, we also made sure that we are the best in the market. I knew about 120 snowballs, more data, detail oriented, everything I knew. Okay, so that also allowed us to make sure people came back. By the way, the store has been around for 45 years, and it's the biggest in town. They sell more than all the surfboard shops and buy it.
So the elevator pitch I wrote is I help create personalized sober experiences for people who require discrete, time-sensitive programs while in the comfort of their own. Using our proprietary science, no two people ever experience the same program.
Why do we care? It works.
Work.
The 12-step program works.
It's not a 12.
No, I'm saying the 12-step program works.
It's on.
I assume it's one of the most known.
Not really. It's known, but not a single insurance company or doctor will ever.
Oh, no, I understand that people want something that's usually proven. Makes me feel more comfortable. I've never heard about you. Now it's everybody gets something completely different. I'm not sure that these are your value. Can you read the first sentence?
I help create personalized sober experience.
Pretty good. I use technology to help people on sobriety.
You can help people stay sober. So please don't pull the muscle.
That's it? I help people stay sober?
Well, there will be a time where you can enter the rest of that.
Sure, but so just to give you guys an example, I explained this. There's a chapter in the book about what do we actually do. This is how I started. I asked the starter, what do you actually do in one line? Then how? So if I have a problem, for example, my dad had a drinking problem until a couple of years ago. You had a problem. If you have a solution, I'm interested. Then I'm interested. I'll ask you, how can you do that? And then you have the chance to do your 70-word blurb to explain how.
So I help people get sober and stay sober. So,
Yeah, like help you achieve lasting sobriety.
By the way, we spoke earlier that it costs you too much to acquire clients. So maybe your messaging could even go to someone who's looking for help, for someone that they love. Then you might have a different messaging on social. Because then I'm your target audience for my following.
right.
Okay. By the way, we made them stop drinking, and so we had they diagnosed cancer. They were drinking a lot, and then the cancer disappeared. Very strange. Nobody understands why. And every day they said we wanted to do some tests, and said I don't want to do tests. And said that you're helping other people. Said if I'm drinking a liter of arak, which is a Turkish anise drink, that's horrible. He said that's how you kill cancer. You drink a liter a day, the cancers get scared, they leave, and everything's fine. So he won't go to the he won't to the clinic to do testing for holidays. So play around with it. You want to do yours?
Should we do one more from everybody and then I'll wrap this up and do mine? Anybody else want to do one more? My elevator pitch now
I just help businesses leverage XR technology.
Might need to define the XR technology. Just extrapolate that extended reality.
Yeah. Extended reality versus technology.
I'll give you my 30-second elevator pitch on 2 birds. Rest of that. My name is Justin. Anyone who really knows me, call me Cousin Justin. It's kind of what his favorite cousin. I have curiosity and attraction to risk. Whether it's climbing high mountains, building businesses, starting a family, or doing anything that requires at least one case of death or dismemberment. I'm a business owner, a serial entrepreneur. I specialize in building businesses with zero market. Podcast host, husband, father, friend. Goal is to drive impact to your life with a smile on your face. See, cousin Justin, everybody's favorite cousin.
How do you feel?
You know, when I say that, it's very emotional for you.
Now imagine, and that's your next exercise, imagine you met someone at a coffee place. I introduce you to a friend of mine. And you do that for 30 seconds, moving his hand. I love it because I know you and I know it's true. So some of the exercise we often do during long workshops is we say, this is great. Now less. So we often ask people to write whatever they want, 200, 300 words. And we say, let's cut it to 100. At the end, we do a short 6-word story. So we keep cutting. And people say, you can't. And they keep doing it. And it gets better and better. So the more you craft, the more
I remember that the time for you, Bob.
you know. But it's only for the last 5 years that I've known you that I've been doing this. Before I didn't.
Yeah, I failed. And my love word is forward to extraordinary, which I've said. I have war against the word balance and fail. So
I'm going to say thank you.
I'm going to say
It's
thank you.
5 years since we met because he wrote the word locals about something I wanted someone to build for me. And somehow I stumbled upon that while I'm in Israel. I think COVID.
Email referral and rewards.
Email referral and rewards.
And I reached out to him and I said, hey, can we jump on the call? And this is how we got to be first of all a client, we became friends. And every time I come to New York, we spend the day together. And this time around, they said, well, I come and meet you guys. So thank you again. Thank you for
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you guys all know, let's spend the next, let's do like 20 minutes to a half an hour. We'll do some networking and make in this room. If anybody wants to join us, we're going to go across the street. Beers are on me. If you want a beer, if you want a drink, if you want food, just come along, continue the party. The next Long Island Technologist meeting happens every 45 days. So the next one's going to be towards the end of January. I'm not sure who the host topic is going to be, but we'll get back to technology specifically. Last time Chris presented on extended reality, augmented reality, and how customers are adopting that in group class scenarios. But I want to thank you all for coming out and participating. Who got value from today from this presentation? That's my goal. It's how I started our presentation, was to make sure I drive value to everybody in the room. Thank you, Nir. Thank you, Frank, running around the room. It's going to be a hell of a fun. And so thank you to all of you. Brad. Excellent. All right. Let's get this back. Oh, yeah.
What's the about? Like, I mean,
Good morning.
I was just gonna say, so what you, I was like, you know you need it, okay, so that was like a theme, you know, something that I have on, I was like, so we're doing that, or your friends are
That because you have for shorting. But you don't know why. The people around that are like, dude, dude,
that's fine.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of
It's really after college. Then I like none of us. And that actually worked. There's so many